excited. It's Monday morning, and I really don't need a fan because it's cool, and that means I got out my pumpkin shirt. You know, when the fall leaves happen and all the things happen, I get out my pumpkin shirt. So I got out my pumpkin shirt. And then I found Charlie Brown, and I brought him in. His name is really Gary Lamb. He is a promoter, a businessman, a husband, a father, and a preacher.
I am.
You got anything else you need to do, young man?
All those things keep me out of trouble. All those things keep me out of trouble. And I had to even evaluate today because you said it's Monday. It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
So I got all panicky there for a minute thinking
that's
I'd
right.
missed out on something.
No, it's Tuesday. Oh, man, these holidays got me. See,
I feel like
I'm
it's a
fired.
short week and I have a huge event this weekend, so I'm in crunch mode now.
It's crazy. And we're going to share something with y'all in a minute. It's the ball ground special that we did several years ago, and Gary's event was the reason we wanted to share. You chose ball ground to be your true. You have landed your plane and you live there now.
Yeah, we love ball ground. My wife and I tried to get to ball ground for probably the last 8 years, and it just seemed like every time the door shut.
Yeah.
And as a pastor, I believe God's always in control, and He opened the door this last year for us to move there. But we've been putting on events there since basically COVID, and we've kind of landed our plane there. My wife's business is there now. Our event company is stationed out of there. We do events all over North Georgia, but 4 of those events are in ball ground every year, and it continues to grow. And man, we love the potential there. We love the growth there. We love what we consider to be, and I know everybody, this is subjective, what we consider to be smart growth there. And
Yes,
it
yes.
is just it's one of the last few downtowns in North Georgia that we still get to write the story. There's still room there to develop and it to be what we want it
Walking
to
distance
be.
to where you live.
Yes.
Walking distance to where I live.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to throw a number at you, and
Okay.
you're going to go, holy moly. About 8 years ago, actually, I put a piece of property on the market, and we had multiple offers. And the offers came from a developer who did the little tiny homes on the little tiny lots. And then we had another offer. That one fell through, and then another one fell through, and then another one fell through, and they kept falling through. And all these developers were not the right developer. And so I meet a gentleman after I'd just walked out of a meeting with one of the developers that made me nervous because they were going to build too many, too close, too small.
Right.
I was a wreck. And I said, but I've got to sell this for the family because the oldest family member wanted me to sell it for X amount of dollars. Well, we tried and tried and tried. And I kept saying, God, why are you slamming this door on this family? They've paid taxes on this property since the 1800s.
Right.
Why are you slamming the door? The day that I picked up the phone and I got this call from the developer we now work with, I was like, okay, God, I get it. I get it. The right man fell in love with the town, immediately started doing things for the town, from doing a irrigation system to the botanical garden. He just kept, and then finally he built himself a house in the town.
Right.
He said, I love this town. He said, how did I not know about ball ground?
Yeah.
We were a hidden secret.
It is a phenomenal city. The downtown is beautiful. And I assume, I'm jumping here, I'm assuming you're talking about Malone's Pond.
And Farmers Crossing.
I think Malone's Pond is one of the most beautiful,
It is.
well laid out subdivisions I've ever seen. You know, we ended up being closer to Main.
Gonna buy a house
We
from
ended
me,
up
and
being
you
closer
didn't.
to Main Street. The opportunity opened for
Yeah,
us to be
yeah,
closer to Main Street
yeah.
where we could walk. But we love that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I get people don't like necessarily growth and they want things to stay the same. But that's not going to happen in North
It's not
Georgia.
gonna happen.
The country is moving to North Georgia. And so I'm thankful for developers that I feel like at least take pride in what they're building, want to make sure what they're building is beautiful, that it fits the, for lack of a better word, the vibe of our downtown. And I think all the growth and the families moving in. I mean, this last Saturday in downtown Ball Ground,
There are kids everywhere.
It was alive. It's funny. We moved from a neighborhood, a very nice neighborhood, and our youngest became 13. So in our mind, it was like, okay, our kid's kind of done playing outside. Our son plays outside more now that he literally walks in the door and he's out the door.
Yeah.
We have to call him for dinner when he's down there playing pickleball, he's playing basketball,
Yeah.
he's hanging out with his friends on the track. downtown living is a different vibe, and I love it. I love the fact that I can walk and get a cup of coffee. I can walk over and get dinner, and I'm excited about some of the future development that is coming. And I like that I get to be part of it, and we get to be on the foundational thing of seeing that city become what it could be, and also seeing it not become what we don't want it to be.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
Remain. We are going to preserve the past while we embrace the future. And that's it. And I'm going to throw a number at you. You have a church that you have 200 to 300 people who attend your church. Okay, our downtown Ball Ground Baptist Church has less than 80 every Sunday, which to me is heartbreaking because we've grown the community, but we have not grown the churches. What's happening? Why is your church growing so much and our church didn't? Is it because of children? Is it what is happening in the church?
I think you might not like the answer. I think that we live in a day and time where things have changed. People's priorities are different. I think that a lot of churches, I don't know the history of First Baptist Ball Ground, but at one time it's obvious
it was full.
It was a thriving church. They didn't build that building for other people. But I think sometimes I always like to say that movements suddenly become monuments. So people start out and they're zealous and they're excited and they're trying to reach the community and they're probably doing outside the box things. And then we get comfortable and we get older and
you settle in.
We settle in, and all of a sudden we allow traditions to set in instead of continually changing. And I always say the methods have to change, but the message doesn't have to change.
Right.
And so I think that we live in a more laid-back society, the more formal, the older stuff. And I love all that stuff. And I gave my life to Christ in an old school, independent, fundamental, King James only Baptist church. But I didn't become a Christ follower to my early 20s. And so when I got into ministry, I knew I wanted to do church that reached unchurched people. And so, you know, it's very casual. I am who I am. I'm probably not everybody's cup of tea. But I always say who you see on Sunday is who you're going to see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So
I'm glad you brought that up because when I first came here 52 years ago, it was crazy because there were a couple of beer joints up here in this area, but Pickens County was dry.
Right.
And so I can remember coming to Ellijay for various reasons, and I would see somebody that I knew that went to church with us pulling out of, and I said, okay, we're a different world today.
Right.
And I attended a church up here with my daughter and son-in-law for a while, and I will just say, I'm not going to throw out the name, but I dearly love this church. I would say I was probably one of the few people in the church who had not been a drug addict.
Right.
Who had not had an alcohol problem. I was there to support my daughter and my son-in-law.
Right.
Loved church there. It was, I'm getting cold chills. I mean, it was that church that brought you back to life.
Right.
And I love that. I love that. And this church, a small church here in Gilmer County, my son-in-law is a world champion catfish fisherman. And this church helped him to provide thousands of fishing rods for needy kids.
Oh, that's awesome.
And this is a small church in Gilmer County. But it's, I would say, across the line church. It's not the First Baptist. It's not the Methodist. It's an independent. Love this church. Still to this day, love this church. And you might find the best barbecue you ever put in your mouth Sundays at that church when Ron Martin is cooking. It's amazing. But I was sitting in that church and I was looking around and I thought, these people are not like me.
Right.
They're not like me. And it's because they were often damaged.
Right.
Often hurt. Often searching for an answer.
Right.
And the answer was in that church.
Yeah, and I always like to say, we're all hurt. It might manifest itself different, but
Absolutely.
we've all got baggage, we've all got our issues. And I think sometimes what happened in the church world is we became more known for what we were against than what we were for. And then instead of trying to be salt and trying to be light in our communities, we almost became against the other churches where they don't look like us and they don't act like us and they don't believe like us, instead of realizing, like in Ball Ground, for example, there's a place for First Baptist. There's a group of people that call that place home, and there's a tradition there. And I love Pastor Brian. I've known Brian for 20 years, and I believe he's going to breathe life into that place. But there's a place for that. There's a place for the Methodist Church, their food giveaways and the stuff that they do, and I think there's a place for Action Church. I mean, we're moving into the brewery, which is a little bit different.
And I want to ask you about that, because I know there's been a talk. There was an article actually in the newspaper.
Yeah.
But your building, you're not leaving your building because you're vacating your building.
Right.
Your building is vacating you.
Yeah, so I started Action Church. So I actually moved to Canton, Georgia 21 years ago. And I started a church. And a lot of people probably know my story. The church became very fast growing. Matter of fact, by year 5 of that church, we were named the 16th fastest growing church in America. And I like to say that my talent at that age in my life far exceeded my character. And at 33 years old, I imploded my life, lost everything, and I was done with ministry. And so I walked away. After losing the church, I walked away. I lost my family. I literally was homeless for 2 days. I slept in my car for 2 nights, and a family let me move in with them into their basement. And about a year later, I had a group of people want me to start a church, and I set out some criteria for those people. I said, first of all, the church that I had left had to find a pastor. I wasn't going to start a church while they were still searching for a pastor. It was a very large church, thousands of people. And I said, when they find a pastor, I'll talk about it. I said, I'm never taking a salary from the church. And I said, we're going to move to the poorest part of town, and we're going to serve people. And so we did that in Canton. So 14 years ago, Action Church started, and we moved. If you're familiar with the Canton area, we were in the old McFarland's grocery store, the old IGA grocery store. And we've been there 14 years, and don't even have a sign on the building. It's grown. God's blessed. We run.
I wondered, that's so crazy, because I went down there to the Salvation Army store, and I'm trying to figure out where your church is.
We just never put money into. We were literally right next to the Salvation Army. So we had 32,000 square feet down there. And we ran the homeless shelter for the last 10 years, the warming shelter for the city. Anytime temperatures drop below 32 degrees, we did that. We do a thing every year, and the name is probably not for an older Christian, but we found it funny. We used to do a thing every year called Give Canton the Bird, and where we provided every single meal for a Meals on Wheels. Our church did.
Wow.
So they show up for Thanksgiving. One year we fed 2,500 people Thanksgiving dinner. And so we did that every year. We ran the homeless shelter. We ran a food pantry, and ran all kinds of events in the building, concerts in the building, wrestling shows in the building. It was just kind of became a community center. Every Monday, Bethesda Community Clinic was there giving free medical care. And about 2 years ago, the city of Canton bought the building.
Wow.
And we knew that. We knew going in that they had bought the building. We knew there would come a day where we would have to leave. We knew they had long-term plans. They were expanding the bridge. They were going to come through our parking lot to get to downtown. And so we were very aware of that. But the problem is we were so entrenched in where we were, and we had such affordable rent where we were due to being in that part of town. It was hard to find something else. So we were told over and over the city would give us plenty of notice. Don't worry about it. It's down the road, plenty of notice. And so we were like, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, and God will provide. Well, one day we went to the mail, and there was a certified letter saying we had 10 weeks to be out of the building.
Wow.
And everybody in the shopping center had 10 weeks. So September 30th is our last Sunday in the building. So we were kind of less scrambling. While we're not a large church, we're not a small church. And so to find a location that we could find, that we could afford, and that short of notice was not an option. So we knew we wanted to go north towards Ball Ground. We felt like Ball Ground was growing. We also feel like as the town is growing and young families are there, they want to work there, they want to play there. And we also feel like those that want to worship there wanted a church that maybe was a little more demographically younger. And so we began to look for buildings in Ball Ground. The buildings are very limited.
They're
Yes.
nil.
Yeah, they're non-existent. And so the local brewery, Rock Solid Brewery, reached out to us and told us we could use their building. We knew that'd be a little controversial. We knew some people wouldn't understand it. But at the end of
it's not like it's going to be open
it's
for
not going to be
business
open.
while you're
They're
in
not
church.
open on Sundays, Sunday mornings. So it was just the perfect opportunity for us. And the Bible says go into all the world. So for us, I think the church has developed a come and see instead of go and tell. So we were never told to come see us. It was go tell others. So to go into a brewery and have church and take something that maybe was not meant for the edification of God and use it to edify God in is something that we're actually proud of, we're excited about. It's not a long-term solution for us. We're going to outgrow it the first Sunday.
I know, that's what I was going to ask you.
And so
you won't fit in there now.
So
no.
I don't know what the backup plan is,
Yeah.
but I know that God will provide in His timing. And so we've got a couple of other options, a couple of other things that could open up to us. And I have just learned, faith is doing things when you don't see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not faith if I can see what's going to happen. So for us, we're just moving forward, excited about the opportunity and enjoying, I call it the roller coaster. And so I believe it's October 5th, will be our first Sunday in the brewery in downtown Ball Ground. So it should be exciting, or it could be a huge train wreck. We'll find out.
I know. Speaking of, now let me ask you this. Why didn't you ask about the gymnasium? Could you not use the school gymnasium?
Yes, so that could be an option. The gymnasium is about to go through some renovations and some different things. So we didn't want to be there for a couple of weeks.
Right.
And then suddenly they're renovating it. And
that would be perfect.
It would be perfect.
It would be perfect.
We also wanted to tread carefully on church and state, and not that the city would probably.
I was going to ask you, is that an issue?
Well, I mean, it's not. Churches meet in schools all the time. Churches meet in county facilities, and so I don't know what Ball Ground's stance would have been on that. I didn't want to ask them tell me no and me get a chip on my shoulder. And
there
so
you go.
I was like, let's come to town. Let's prove that we're an asset to the community. But make no mistake about it. I have looked at the gym. I've thought about the gym. I walk out my back door and I'm staring at the gym. So it could be a possibility. I don't know. And Isaiah, God says, I will go before you and I will make the crooked places straight. So we're just going to trust that we're not going anywhere today that he wasn't yesterday, and we'll see what happens.
That's right. Now, I got to ask you, did you participate in the Jeep Fest?
I did not participate in Jeep Fest.
Okay.
So it was one of my few weekends off. So my secular job, or my real job, is I own an event company called Black Sheep Events, and we put on festivals and events all over North Georgia. Ball Ground, Big Canoe, Pickens County, Cartersville, Calhoun, Cherokee Parks and Rec. We do all their events. And so it was one of our only weekends off. And so we had friends over. I have a huge LED wall that we use at our festivals. We set it up in our driveway. We threw college football on, and we cooked out. And
Did Georgia win?
Georgia did win.
Cool.
And so this was our last weekend off through December. So we didn't go up there, deal with the crowds, but what an incredible event.
What an incredible event. And we want to share some pictures, and I want to share a little bit too, because there was church at the Jeep Fest.
Yes, I saw that.
There was
awesome.
church, and I love that church and the growth in Pickens County when the Woodstock Baptist Church came to Pickens County. They have huge numbers of members, and they have so many people who attend. Now, this is something I wanted to share. This we're gonna actually be in downtown Ball Ground, and we haven't even touched on this yet. You're having an event in Ball Ground this coming weekend, and it's going to be Saturday and Sunday. And the Indian things that Forrest Wade wrote the book, my daughter's grandfather, and we're going to be sharing that book at the festival. We haven't done that ever before, but it's called Art on Main.
It's called Art on Main.
Okay.
It is a 2-day event. We say it's a celebration of North Georgia. So unlike our normal festivals where you'll show up and there's 200 vendors selling mass-produced stuff, this one is all original. You have to be an original artist, an original maker. So kind of harkens back to the old festivals back in the day. Apple Festival when everything was original, River Fest when everything was original.
And it should have stayed that way.
Right. And
I'm just going to say that.
Yeah,
it
the mass-produced, everyone's selling the same thing.
I hate it.
It definitely
don't like it.
It draws great crowds, but it
now
loses
look,
a soul.
That is it. Now you think about this. You are providing this event in a town where the Cherokee, the first artisans of the county, because they were so crafty and pottery and clay and different things that they made wouldn't it be wonderful if somebody had some of that? We're going to have a lot of Indian arrowheads.
That's awesome.
We're going to have those, but I would love to see some original Indian pottery from the Cherokee.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be so cool?
It
And
would be.
somebody learned from a grandmother and a great-grandmother and a grandfather. Somebody knows how to do that. Now, this is Jeep Fest in downtown Jasper.
Yeah, you couldn't walk down there with so many people. It was
awesome.
incredible.
It
and
was
all for a
great.
great cause.
All for the best cause. And Donnie Craig, Tina Craig, how many years, how many hours have they put in time, love, and labor to help others? And that's what we all kind of look at our lives. What are you doing to help somebody else?
Right.
What are you doing to help somebody else? And if you're not doing something to help somebody else, then shame on you. You can volunteer. You can give money if you're not able to volunteer. There's so many things, and I know that the Jeep Fest. Now this, I've got a dream. You know how Martin Luther King had a dream? I've got a dream. I've got a dream that we can sell this to somebody who will paint it back white and put a black and white sign out front and a Coca-Cola sign and start selling the same dadgum hamburgers that the Quick Burger sold for 60 years.
Right.
It was so successful. And then they messed it up. They blew a wad and painted it those atrocious colors. And we want it painted back, and we want hamburgers, French fries, chili dogs, the original food that the Quick Burger produced for 60 years. Gary, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I don't ever want to question
Success.
an entrepreneur or a business owner.
Crazy.
But there's sometimes that stuff comes along.
That you're going,
And when
what?
this was changed
I almost passed out.
in Jasper, I kind of felt the same way when the corporation bought R&M Sandwich Shop in downtown
Oh, yeah,
Canton.
broke my heart.
And
broke my heart.
within weeks, you changed something to the point that it went out of business.
60 years.
And I'm like, how does that happen? And, man, I like tamales and I like tacos.
I don't.
But I don't. Well, I do.
I like tacos.
Well, I like
tacos.
both of them.
Yeah, I
but
like
I don't know
tacos.
why anybody thinks that would work in Jasper. In a location that's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
No.
It needs to be a destination place.
That's right.
Like Quick Burger was.
That's right. Now look at this. This is my baby with her Georgia. She had on her Georgia jersey, and she was like, "Go Dogs!"
Right.
Okay. She loves her dog, but she loves the Georgia Dogs too. So I took a day off. That's unheard of. I took a day off, and I actually went up to the farm and spent some time with her. And going back, the muscadines and the pear trees and making jelly and just back to what we used to be. And let's go back to what we're doing to Ball Ground, because you live in and walking distance to downtown. I don't think you've really thought about the numbers, because if you do place a church in Ball Ground, with what we've added at Malone's Pond, we now have 22. We have about 46 new residents there right now, and then across the road, going to be building more homes, nice, affordable, but very nice homes. Everybody will be walking distance to downtown. Leave your car and your worries behind and walk to town and support our local businesses.
There's nothing I love more. So I do barbecue and brews there. I do Art on Main. I do the Ball Ground Rocks Festival. I do the Guardians of the Jukebox Summer Concert. And I do Christmas in Ball Ground. I do those 5 events there. And my favorite thing is to watch people from Mountain Brook, Malone's Pond, and the townhomes. And watch them walk up the sidewalk. Ball Ground has made their city very walkable.
Not a car.
It's funny because everybody's like, where do we park? And I'm like, well, first of all, there's a lot of parking in Ball Ground. People just don't realize it. I said, but you have to realize the residents aren't driving into town. We're walking into town. And so I love watching them walk up, pushing the strollers, creating community. And that's what we said. We don't put on events. We create community. And I love that about our events, whether it's, again, barbecue and brews, whether it's Art on Main, they're all different. And
well, can I tell you my favorite?
Yeah.
The Guardians of the Jukebox.
The Guardians of the Jukebox are so fun.
my gosh.
Always the last Saturday in May.
Oh my gosh,
It's
they're
such
so
fun music.
awesome.
They're so great.
They're awesome.
And we're blessed. I'm blessed that I'm good friends with them, and that's how we're able to get them in a city like Ball Ground. Because Ball Ground is a smaller town.
Yeah.
But a lot of the band lives in North Canton. They come to Ball Ground to do stuff, and so they enjoy playing there. And they tell me all the time, if it was not Ball Ground, We would never agree to play on a stage that's that small. A place, but they said it's just ball ground and it's different, and we love to come. And we do live in a different day and time. People, it's nice, and I get we can debate about alcohol or not, but it's nice to watch people. Sometimes I think there's an older thing that thinks anything drinking thinks we're turning everything into Freaknik or something like that. It's nice to see people grab a beverage, especially one that was locally crafted here, Reformation or Rock Solid, listen to great music, have their kids there, not turn it into some kind of party atmosphere where inappropriate things are happening or it becomes a dangerous situation, and they just enjoy life together and watching people catch up and people smile. This last year it hit me at the Gardens of the Jukebox concert this last year. About the fourth song in, it started pouring rain. Not thunder, not lightning, not wind, just summer rain. And I told my wife, I said, I wouldn't want every event to be rained out, but I said, there was something powerful about watching 2,000 people enjoy fun 80s music in the pouring rain, dance, and have a good time. It was not fun for us to clean up after, but I sat on the side of the stage smiling as people just, for a couple of hours, got to forget about the bills that were due, forget about the job that they don't like, maybe forget about the fact that they're having trouble with their children, or maybe that their marriage is on the rocks. They got to forget the day-to-day pressures of life. They got to come listen to music that took them back to a simpler time and have a blast. And
that music.
And it was great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, what's more fun than the 80s?
It was really,
it's hard to believe
cool.
The 80s were 40 years ago.
Oh, shut up. Don't remind me. You know, as we move forward, we are going to preserve the past, and there are so many great things about Ball Ground that we want to continue to enjoy, from the walkability to filling these churches back full again. But what we really want to do is bring in people who live the same lifestyle we do. And I love that as I'm selling homes, people say, well, tell me about the churches in the community. And I love that.
Right.
That's one of their first questions, the church and the hospital. Because as we get older, those are two important
things. It is
things.
nice that the hospital's not in Ball Ground, but it's pretty close.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close.
And it's right off the exit.
But I love that.
And you tell everybody about us. I have so many people that tell me, when we moved here, we were told about the events here, and the events, they do create community, and they're great, and we love doing them.
Well, we're going to share something with you that you've never seen, so we're going to take you to Ball Ground like you haven't seen it. So, Trace, can we pull up? Let's welcome everybody to Ball Ground.
Whether you're in the mood for chicken strips, a delicious burger, our classic banana split, or an upside-down thick blizzard treat, we've got you covered. Hot and fresh food every day, every time. And delicious DQ soft serve make the perfect pair at your favorite place. Not fast food, fan food fast. Your Blue Ridge, Ellijay, and Jasper Dairy Queens are your meet, eat, and treat headquarters.
Thank you for choosing DQ. How may I serve you?
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We can't play about our future or our finances. Make moves, set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up, stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things. This is pre-tirement.
Smoky Mountain memories about my home in Tennessee. Memories keep calling me home.
Whether you're swimming in the sea or splashing in the pool, making a masterpiece, or just making memories, writing a great American novel, or writing your term paper that's due tomorrow. Whatever you do in life, Farmers is here to protect it. For all your insurance needs, call Donald Curtis in Blue Ridge.
We're back, and I got to show y'all something. Art on Main is going to be this Saturday and Sunday, and if you love the history of the Cherokee, you might want to pick up yourself a shirt from My Sweet Cherokee Dawn will be there, and we will have the books. And you know, I give everybody who moves to Ball Ground, who buys a home from me, a book about the Cry of the Eagle. I think it's so important that as we grow, we do embrace that past. Yeah. And we remember that this was a tiny town. I have a picture of my grandmother on horseback in Ball Ground in 1917. And I think about that. It was a dirt road. It was nothing.
I love the picture inside the barrel house.
Yeah,
That's the dirt road.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Hey, and can I let you all know a little secret?
What?
I didn't buy a house from her. She still gave me the book.
I know, I did. But I think it's important that we understand the history of the river, the Etowah. The Etowah was
There's
the transport.
so much history.
Yeah.
You know, Long Swap, the park. I love that. People are like, why did they put a passive park in? I said, let's just be honest. They put a park in to make sure that land didn't get developed.
That's right.
And that's why. And I mean, props to our commissioners for that.
Absolutely.
And I do love that park. I love that it's a park with no playground. We take our dogs there and let them. I get a passive park is kind of a new concept. But to me, it preserved that place that was so rich in history.
My grandmother used to hoe that.
Oh,
and one day we were going across the bridge before they changed the bridge. And I said, Granny, isn't that the most beautiful sight you ever saw? And she looked at me and she didn't say bad words very often. And she said, you ought to hoe them grounds. She said, that's our, and she said, I hoed that corn and I hoed cotton there and I hoed this. And I said, well, what was wrong with that? And I said, why did y'all live here? And she said, we were tenant farmers for the family who owned it. And she said, and we needed to be near the river because your granddaddy was making liquor.
That's great.
And I said, okay.
That's awesome.
So I'm 17 years old. I found out that my family are sinners,
Oh, yeah.
you know, But it was such a beautiful place, and it sat there forever, and I'm so glad that Cherokee County managed it well.
They did.
Managed it well. Now, have you watched the videos of where people get in the Etowah and they raft down, they canoe down, they kayak down? It's amazing to me, the scenery on the Etowah.
It's amazing to me that as a county, in the city of Canton especially, because it goes right through there, that we haven't embraced it like we should. You go to other cities and they've built around the river, and there's river walks, and the river, and I've always thought it was very odd that Canton never capitalized.
Why didn't they?
I don't know why. I mean, I know Army Corps of Engineers owns a lot of the land, but I'm not talking about even development. I'm just talking about accessibility to the river.
Yeah.
And I know Ball Ground has, which they don't have a lot of the river in the city limits, but they have tried to embrace it with the new trail downtown. And there's so, to me, North Georgia is an outfitter's dream.
Absolutely.
Like next year with Cherokee Parks and Rec, I think it's going to be our biggest festival ever. We're doing the Georgia Outdoor Festival and Expo. Father's Day weekend, it's going to be a 3-day festival all focused on hunting, fishing, camping.
Wow, how cool.
Rafting, hiking, mountain biking, and they are pulling out the stops to make this festival a tourism where people come from all over, because North Georgia is an outfitter's dream.
Absolutely. Now, where's the festival going to be?
It's going to be at Veterans Park.
Okay.
Because that's the most land they
what
have. What
a beautiful.
It's got the fishing pond. It's got trails. It's got but the goal, I think Cherokee County would like to see it become Cherokee County's version of Jeep Fest, where people come from all over, and it's happening in multiple parks, and there might be on-site camping, and there's this part's focused on fishing, and this part's focused on hunting, this part over here is focused on mountain biking, and this part over here is focused on hiking. It's just exploring all that North Georgia has. But the first year it's going to be 3 days long, 2.5 days, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Father's Day weekend, because we thought about, think about it.
What else would you want to do with your daddy?
I'm stereotyping, but most outdoors people are men.
Yeah.
Women don't know what to do with men. Men don't know what to do on Father's Day. Hey, let's go to this event, have live music, have great food there, all the fishing companies and the hiking companies and the camping I think it's going to grow to be a very, there's a lot of outdoor expos. There's not a lot of outdoor festivals.
Well, I was telling you about my son-in-law who's world champion fisherman.
I'm going to hit you up about that after
so
you told me that.
That would be so cool to have him there if they don't have a tournament out of the city. He's got 3 tournaments right now back to back. He won 3 boats last year.
The minute you said that, I put it in the back because we want people like him to come in and teach seminars.
Hall of Fame.
Do all
Honey,
kinds
he's
of
so
stuff.
bashful he couldn't. His brother probably could. They're twins. And they're the Fountain twins. You can Google them. They're Hall of Fame fishermen. But Lonnie he's been my son-in-law 18 years, probably hadn't said 12 words to me, and I love him to death.
Something. We'll figure out something, because if we got a Hall of Fame outdoors guy, he needs to be at the Georgia Outdoor Festival at Expo.
You need to help us share his story, and I've told this many times. He learned to fish to feed his siblings.
That's amazing.
As an 8-year-old little boy. As an 8-year-old little boy. And he snuck over to the neighbor's pond and fished and learned to clean them and cook them for his siblings.
Wow.
So that's the kind of man you
want
to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, that is amazing.
Yeah, it's and we all have a story, and his story is great. I keep telling him, the Kendrick brothers write stories, write movies about real life adventures, and their life was a true adventure. And nobody knows the truth. And so I keep telling them, if y'all live long enough, we're going to write a book about you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Because there are people who came from nothing, but they gave along the way. Right. Even if they didn't have anything, they gave. They were givers.
Yeah, I always say, and I don't want to say this like a preacher way, but you can't outgive God. Some of the most generous people I know are people that have nothing.
Absolutely.
And so,
absolutely. Yeah.
And so they might not give. I mean, it's the widow's mite story. They give what they have, and it's an amazing thing. And I have learned that you can't outgive God. The more I give away, the more God blesses me.
That's right. That's right. Well, I want to talk. We got to tell y'all something that's coming up, because we just finished the 75th anniversary of the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds, and guess what? The October Festival is coming, and this is October 10th through 18th, and again at the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds. And I'm taking 2 days off, the 21st of September and the 22nd of September, which is my mama's birthday in heaven. I am going to go back to Hiawassee to the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds and camp for 2 days. Now, my idea of camping is the Holiday Inn, so I don't do it in a tent. But I have camped on a riverside, and I have washed my iron skillets in the river. So I have done a little bit of that. I got over it, and now I like to have air conditioning and running water. But don't forget, the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds is doing something day in and day out all year. There's never a time that you can't find some reason to go there. But again,
And if you've never been there,
oh my gosh,
I'd heard about it, and
Mm-hmm.
about 2 years ago, the tourism board brought me in. It is a
massive.
But it's a permanent festival ground.
It
They
is.
built it to have festivals 24/7, down to permanent vendor booths. It's a pretty spectacular
It's
place in the
amazing.
middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere.
And honestly, David Ralston and I had this conversation many, many times. If it had not been for the Georgia Mountain Fair bringing people to the mountains people would not have survived. They would have had to flee these beautiful mountains and go somewhere else and find work.
Yeah.
Because tourism is a big part of what North Georgia does. And I tell everybody, you know, we fuss about the Apple Festival traffic, we fuss about the Marble Festival
I
traffic.
saw people complaining about Jeep Fest. I'm
And-
like, it's one weekend out of the year.
And it's helping people
Right.
who can't help themselves. And that is so very, very, very important. And I think that's what we need to look at today as we're headed toward the Apple Festival, as we're headed toward the Sorghum Festival.
Yeah.
I can remember trying to go to Blairsville, and the road would be backed up forever, and you're like, what's going on? Well, people are coming to buy that syrup. And I'm
Right.
like, okay, you know, we have to help.
Right.
We have to help and not be a hindrance.
So here's my question. I know we're on live TV, and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to say what it is to put you on the spot, but are we going to talk about this?
Oh,
Or are we not allowed to talk about that on
no,
the air?
I love Will Cagle,
Okay, me
and
too.
I'm a conservative Christian. And if you know me, you know that I have voted. I was born a Republican. The day they smacked my butt, my mama said, "We're Republicans," and I said, "Okay." So I've always been a conservative Christian. Now, I love Will Cagle, and I'm praying that he gets in there because he has some common sense. And you know why he started this, don't you?
Yes.
He's a farmer, and he owned over 100 acres,
Yeah,
and he
owns.
just wanted to give his son a little bit of land.
And the county fought him on it.
They tried to make him develop it as a subdivision,
Right.
and he's like, no.
And Will is me and Will are friends. Will is a success story.
Mm-hmm.
Blue collar, came up, successful businessman, entered this campaign against a lot of people that
Yeah.
on paper were more qualified.
Yeah.
Ran a grassroots effort. People rallied around him,
Mm-hmm.
and I was so happy to see him win. And I think Will gets it. I think Will gets that. I just get sick of the stop the growth people
Yeah.
because that's not realistic. You're not stopping
If
the
you
growth.
stop the growth, you die.
Right.
The city dies.
But you can't stop the growth. You're not stopping people from moving here. So let's quit saying stop growth and let's start saying smart growth. And I think Will understands
Why
that
didn't you run
principle.
for mayor?
Well, because I missed the cutoff by 10 days. I moved here 10 days too late.
Oh, well,
So
the next time.
I had to be here. You have to be here 1 year
Yeah.
before the election day, and I moved here 10 days after
And
that
I'm
day.
laughing as I say that because you already have about 6 jobs. I
Yeah.
don't know how you.
But I
have
always
time
say
to-
I am going to run for mayor of Ball Ground because I think it'd just be fun, and I think it'd be fun to run a campaign. And I'm cocky enough to think I'd win because I'd outmarket anybody.
Yeah,
so
you
I'd be
would.
right here on this TV show just pitching my
You
thing.
would, you would. Well, again, we are going to preserve the past because when we developed the sales that we did, I grew up in Morningside in Atlanta and College Park in Orlando.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Both of them were walking communities. And so I told Rick Roberts, I said, Rick, I love the idea that we're developing a walking community for Ball Ground. He said, that's what I've always wanted,
Yeah.
a walking community.
But people don't realize the develop there, and I'm going to butcher it so you'll know the story.
Mm-hmm.
What is the deal in Malone's Pond where he was about to knock down a tree and there was some kind
The
of Indian
tree.
And he reworked
He
the
reworked
entire
the whole
neighborhood
development,
around
yes.
that. Like, that's
Yes.
not the out-of-town developer who
No,
all he cares
no.
about is money.
No,
You
no.
know?
And here we go again. That developer is preserving downtown Ball Ground. He
Right.
is taking one of the oldest buildings ever, where an arson occurred that was an accidental arson that he had nothing to do with. He is doing
Anybody
everything in
else would
his power
bulldoze that
to
building.
save that building.
It's going to cost him 6 figures
Yes, to save that
more
building.
to restore that building.
Yeah,
You know,
but he's going to do that.
Right.
And it's like the old post office. I can tell you the old post office was the mustiest smelling, horrible, because it had been sitting there closed up for years and years and years. And you know, if you don't distribute air, things smell bad. And it
Right.
had all these old books and papers and things in it that just smelled bad. And so the building still has a little bit of a musty smell, but his goal is to preserve that building.
Yes.
And make it an amazing restaurant or some
I
amazing
love,
business.
I love what he's doing with that entire block. And
Yeah.
I get frustrated with people sometimes, and they're like, it's a downtown, we're building on top of it. That's what a downtown's supposed to
That's
be.
it.
A downtown, your high density housing is downtown. And as you branch away from the downtown, you move to bigger lots. I heard someone the other day on one of the Facebook pages. They're building homes that don't even have lots for the kids to play. They don't understand.
We're
that's-
across the street from a
but
park.
that's why we moved to downtown Ball Ground.
Yeah.
Because we had 2.5 acres at our last house.
Right.
I didn't want to cut grass
Right,
anymore.
right.
I didn't want to fool with keeping up a lot. I
Right.
wanted to be able to walk out my house, have a small yard, walk to places, maybe jump in a golf cart one day. Who knows?
Calvin Farmer
You know.
Park is a perfect
It's
example.
phenomenal.
And it's free.
It's got
It's
parks,
free.
pickleball courts and basketball courts and playgrounds and walking trails and ponds. And it's a block and a half from my house. I don't need a yard.
Yeah.
I have a 50-acre yard
Yeah,
that I don't
yeah.
have to cut
Yeah.
a block and a half
I
away.
tell everybody that, and it's so funny because I put my house on the market, the brick house on Roy Haynes Drive. I put it on the market for about a 6-week period because I just said, okay, I can't do this. I don't need this big house. What am I doing? And I put it on the market, and everybody loved the house and said, oh, but you've got so much yard. Why do you want this much yard? And I thought, well, darn it, I bought it hoping you would want that much yard.
Right.
And nobody wanted that much yard.
Not in people
No,
that
not
move
in
downtown.
town. That's right. And I was so shocked because I thought this will be what sells my
Yeah.
property.
It's a way of life. A downtown living is a way of life, and it's not for everybody. You know, I'm sure the people in Mountain Brook, even though that's kind of downtown, it's a neighborhood. They have a different lifestyle than the people that want to live downtown. And I want to be able to get up in the morning and go get a cup of coffee, walk to all the stores, grab lunch at a place, go down to the brewery and grab a drink, and walk home. I don't want to ever have to get my car out of the driveway.
and we said that. Leave your worries in your car
Right.
behind.
That's great.
And that's the key. And when we look at everything that's being developed, we have every price point available in homes, from first-time buyers to senior citizens who cashed out on their homes somewhere else. And you know, the funny thing, everybody was really giving me heat about bringing in all these new people to Ball Ground. Everybody that I've sold a house to in Malone's Pond lived within a 30-mile radius, except the guy who will be head of our HOA, who lives across the street from the model home. He was transferred from Duke Energy to Oglethorpe Electric. And he came from North Carolina. He is North Carolina born and bred. So no, we haven't brought in a bunch of people from New York or New Jersey or anywhere else. They came from a 30-mile radius.
And here's the deal. If it wasn't you bringing them in,
Somebody else would.
So why not the lady who's vested in the community, owns homes in the community, grew up in the community, who cares about the community? Because, and that's what I think to understand. The out-of-town developer everyone talks about, first of all, he's from Dalton.
He is a country boy.
Like,
That's what I
It
love.
was so funny to me when we landed the City of Calhoun's events. Everybody online, they're bringing out-of-towners in. I'm like, I'm 30 minutes away. You act like I'm from New York City. We're from
crazy.
Canton. We're from Cherokee County, 30 minutes away, and we're
Yeah.
coming in to do business here.
Yeah.
And so it's like this whole out-of-town thing. I guess you could technically say someone from Canton is out of town
Yeah,
if you're in Ball
yeah.
Ground. It's just a weak argument.
It is a weak argument, and you know, when I was fortunate enough that the family got to benefit from what their grandfather started in the
Right.
1800s, there are 2 pieces of property left that belong to that family, and one is right here across from the park, and one is right up here beside the park. That's all that's left, and he owned over 1,000 acres. That's all that's left. But thank God the city has Calvin Farmer Park,
Right.
and he is to be remembered. He was an engineer. He was way before his time, smart, way smart. He was an engineer and he was a farmer. The two went hand in hand.
Yeah.
He brought progress, but he maintained the integrity of the farm at the same time.
And I feel the same way about Rick. I don't know that people realize how much Rick
I cried when he said he wasn't going to run. I cried.
Has given back to the city of Ball Ground. The post office wouldn't be there without Rick. The library wouldn't be there without Rick.
Right.
The sidewalks, the sewer system. Like there was things he emphasized that had to be done that were his family's land that took money out of their pocket. He could have taken a whole lot more money from developers, but he didn't. He preserved our town where it's a vibrant and thriving town, and it frustrates me sometimes to see people come after him. In my previous life, Rick attended my church at my last church, and so I've known Rick. I did his mother's funeral. Like, he's a good man, and he's been good to me.
Well, he's been good to everybody who ever thought about coming to Ball Ground. And the thing that I love the most about him is when you see him out walking this town. He told me for 30 years I wanted Ball Ground to be a walking community. He lived to get his wish because we have now developed a walking community. And anybody who criticizes the developer that, thank God, chose Ball Ground to develop, he is an award-winning developer. He is on every board in the world for doing great things on conservation. That is one of his big things. And when he came in there and totally redesigned Malone's Pond, I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "There's this tree there." And he took me to see the tree. And he almost had tears in his eyes. He was like, he said, "This is important." And then they found other parts of the Cherokee heritage on that property. And that's why I went ahead and started giving the book to our homeowners, because I said, if you're going to live here, learn the history of the Cherokee and learn that they truly established what we should maintain, which is growing what you eat, helping your neighbors, being faithful and fruitful at the same time, producing, saving, and putting away. And we should live that way. And we should help each other. And it's not that hard.
No, it's a great community. I'm so blessed to be. We love it. We tell people all the time it's the best decision we ever made. Even though they did not buy a house from me. I know.
It was so funny because you actually bought a house that I'd looked at a couple of times, and I love that little house.
We love that house.
I love that house.
Well, our problem was we were wanting to downsize. And Malone's Pond was not downsizing.
But you know, we have a house that's 2,744 square feet, and going back to Morningside, when they built that Vinings, I said, oh my gosh, that reminds me of all our neighbors in Morningside, because it's that little cottage and it's just perfect for a small family or a retired couple. And that one hasn't sold, but all the big houses have.
That's interesting.
So go figure.
We went from 6,300 square feet to 2,800 square feet, but we had 4 children. We have one left. We have 13 year old, and he's never there. He's 13. He's always with friends and never there. And so, we love it. We love what's coming there. We love the events. We love being in North Georgia. Like, is there a better place to live than North Georgia?
No.
Ellijay, Pickens. I mean, I love
every
watching
community
all the Jeeps
that we serve, from Ball Ground to Turtletown, has a success story. You know,
where's Turtletown? I've never heard of a Turtletown.
I got to take you to Turtletown. Joyce Bryson, my dear friend and mentor, sold 1,000 acres at Campbell Cove at Turtletown, Tennessee, which amounts to little tiny. But now I can take you there, and there are beautiful lakefront homes. When she was the real estate agent that sold all of that, and people were like, what are you doing to our community? They brought tax growth. Now they can do things in the community. They had no money because there was no tax base. It was pure poverty. And now it's a beautiful, beautiful development.
Right, that's
and
awesome.
It's beautiful, and it brought in amazing people to live there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's what success should be. It should be taking something that is good, making it better, and preserving that past that you still have.
Right.
You still have.
No, I agree. And you can do both.
You can do both. Okay, Art on Main.
Art on Main this weekend, September 6th and 7th, 11 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock each night. From one end of Main Street in downtown Ball Ground to the other. Over 100 artists and makers. Foodies coming from all over. 2 stages with 20 different musicians, all original North Georgia music. Singer-songwriters playing. All the restaurants, all the small businesses in downtown Ball Ground will be open. They're rolling out the red carpet. The local breweries will be there. It really is, in every sense of the word, it's a celebration of what North Georgia is. The artists, makers, musicians, the craft of North Georgia, and we're so excited about it. It's one of my smaller events. It's not a mass-produced 25,000 person festival, but it's my favorite festival.
Now I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yes.
We've got a minute and a half left.
Let's go.
We started Malone's Pond with a prayer. Can we end today with a prayer?
Sure.
All right, do it.
Ready?
Yep.
Lord, we just come to you today, Father. Lord, we thank you, first of all, for this time. We thank you for the avenue of the internet and television, Father. Lord, we thank you that you use us, Father, to continue to be stewards of your land, because at the end of the day, this is your land, Father, and this is your community, and these are your people, Father, and we thank you for that calling. We thank you for that responsibility. Lord, we ask you to continue to guide our steps and guide our community steps and guide our government leader steps, Father, and Lord, we give you all the praise and all the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for being with us today. Don't forget, Monday through Thursday, ETC, where rivers, mountains, and good friends meet. You can tune us in on YouTube. You can check us out on Facebook. And don't forget, this weekend, come by and get you a Cry the Eagle book or a t-shirt, or Dawn's going to have homemade pear preserves that she worked on all day yesterday. And oh, Lord, were they smelling good.
It's going to be a fun weekend in downtown. If you haven't been to Ball Ground lately, because I know this encompasses a lot of places, you owe yourself the favor of going and checking out what is happening in that small town. It truly is something out of a picture book.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
And you know, I think maybe once a month we need a boost from you, because I feel energized and I haven't even had
Anytime.
caffeine.
I love it. I thought I was going to be on a radio show today. I didn't even know it was television. I told myself I'm on some radio show today. I look like a bum.
I'll see you again, y'all. Bye.